Hi folks, we're going to carry on with bearings and maintenance issues. So on this slide we're talking about the seal on a bearing, and that is this layer of, it's either going to be rubber, plastic, or felt. And what that does is that retains any lubrication that is installed in the bearing when it was manufactured. When that seal breaks, you have to replace the bearing. In most bearings you cannot replace the lubricant, and you can't replace the seal. Some of the larger bearings you might be able to, but most small bearings you can't. You just remove them and replace them. Great care must be taken in removing an installation of bearings. Apply even pressure and only to the proper race, either on the inner or the outer race. Anytime I've had to replace bearings on a piece of machinery, typically I will use a block of wood to tap it into place and try to make sure I make contact with two sides of that bearing at the same time, and I'll just use a hammer to tap it into place with the block of wood. Never ever tap a bearing just with a hammer. You're very likely going to damage it. In terms of sleeve bearings, you may run into sleeve bearings at different situations. Lubrication alone is what combats the friction. Special metals are used. Takes the place of bearings where speed and heat are not factors. Move forward there. Very good. So we need a thin film of lubricant. Lack of lubricant means instant failure. Some sleeve bearings have oil cups, and that's that little cap that you see on the top of this one. In some cases you have to open that cap and pour a few drops of oil in, and that's the way a sleeve bearing works. It has to be lubricated. Some use many different materials depending on speed, weight, and heat buildups. Usually bronze and copper, also poured and then reamed. In terms of lubrications on machines, there's basically two types of lubrication. It's either going to be a dry lubrication or a wet lubrication. A wet lubrication is going to be probably oil or grease. And that's for applications with high speeds or continuous turning and friction. And in terms of grease, you can get high temp grease, or you can get standard bearing grease that we use on our vehicles as well. Will work for a lot of applications, but if it's something that's generating a lot of heat, there is special greases and oils available for that. Over lubrication is a common error. If the seal, it will burst the seal of the bearings, and it creates high heat and pressure. So we have to be careful. Use the owner's manual to determine how often you should lubricate. In terms of additives in grease and oil, we can add things to oil and such as anti-foam additives, anti-corrosion, and we may sometimes want to control the viscosity. And the viscosity determines the heat resistance. Most machine manufacturers will recommend a specific product. Substitutes are possible, but risks are high because of the variation of additives. So make sure you read the owner manual, know exactly what it is that you're working with, and use the proper material, and you should get a lot more life out of your machinery. In terms of dry lubricants, we have hard wax and graphite. Hard wax is that paraffin wax that we use in the shop on a regular basis. Graphite, silicone spray, and Teflon spray, we have those around the shop. For applications like adjustment mechanisms and work surfaces, but not for continuous motion. Sawdust combines with grease and oil and forms a gummy solid. This is why dry lubricants are often used. When it comes to wax, wax preserves as well. Graphite does not. Wax does not pick up sawdust, retains lube quality for a long time, protects surface from rust. Tables must be buffed down. We use wax on the straight line ripsaw and planers and molders on a regular basis. And that just, there's a liquid wax that we use on the molder, but we also use paraffin wax from time to time. You can use pure wax, no additives. These could cause problems later in finishing. Wax and finishing, silicone sprays and all of that will have an impact on your finishing system. It may affect your adhesion and so on. Create your difficulty, so just be aware of what the possibilities of these different products are. And finally, this wraps up the video presentations for this course. I'm hoping that you found them useful, and with a little luck we'll get through these hard times sooner than later. And I will be putting a post online about the final exam and so on in the next day or so, so I will keep you informed about that. Good luck to you.